Okay, guys, happy Monday. Quick reminder, I will not be there today or the rest of the week. I return on Monday of next week. I made a few decisions about how we're going to progress forward with the wind turbine lab. So you, at this point, should have data for two variables and your control. And so we're going to kind of put the wind turbine data collection on hold for right now and then do at least two more variables once I return. And we are going to work on the lab report going forward so that when I do return, you have the majority of the lab report done. And then it'll be just a matter of adding in your data from the other two or three variables that you'll collect when I'm there. So, real quick for today, there's really two things that you need to do moving forward. So the first thing is the wind turbine lab. So again, if you click on this link here, it'll take you to the different um, documents that I have uploaded there. But the wind turbine template, which is right here, this is what you guys basically should be filling in as you move forward with the wind turbine lab. So I outlined for you in the calendar what you should try to have done today for the wind turbine lab. And I think it is certainly doable, especially if you divide and conquer and work on this as a group and kind of view what you get done today as kind of a rough draft, and then we'll kind of fine tune as we move forward. But this will get you a good start towards your getting your lab report done. The other thing you'll be doing is this greenhouse effect simulation, which again, the link to it is right here, and I'm going to go over some things about that. So, real quick, for the wind turbine lab report, you should have your independent variable, the two independent variables that you tested so far labeled. You should have your hypothesis. So you should have submitted to me that hypothesis group sheet already. And so essentially, you're just going to take that and put it into your lab report. The variables table is where you're going to kind of spend more of your time today. And so as you do your variables table, know that you are thinking of your control group. So in the control group, what things had to be kept constant? And I gave you a list of things that were kept constant, but try to come up with some other things that were also kept constant as you move forward. And then, so for each variable that was kept constant, you need to identify why it was kept constant and how you kept it constant. And if you think about this, you should try to come up with a way to quantify how you kept it constant and put numbers to this and give me a method for how you controlled the variable. And then what I mean by that is, how did you know that the wind turbine was always 50 centimeters from the fan? What did you do to make sure that that was kept constant? So you need to identify that and write that out for me. And then the other thing is, come up with what your next independent variables will be and kind of develop a hypothesis for those variables. So try to come up with two more so that when I return, you're ready to go on those two variables. Okay. So that's what the first part you should be working on. And I would say if you can give a half hour to that, that would be plenty. And you should be in a good place having that filled in. So again, on the template, what that looks like, again, get rid of anything in red. But you're just going to put your independent variables here. So you'll have a list of your independent variables here. So you should at this point have two that are labeled, knowing again that your dependent variable is always going to be your electric power generated in milliwatts. Your hypotheses, you can basically cut and paste from what you submitted and put that here. For each independent variable, you will have a separate hypothesis. And again, make sure that you have research to back up your because statement and you've cited that research. Your variables table, so I've already done the first one for you, the distance to the fan. Why was that distance kept constant? How was that distance kept constant? And you're going to identify going down some other variables that need to be kept constant, why they're kept constant, and how they were kept constant. And I say on here you need at least four. Really and truly, you should have more than four. Okay. You should make a materials list. I didn't put that in one of the things for today, but you'll be making a materials list. you should include a picture of your materials, what your of your setup, and that should go in your procedures. And then these are things that I will have you guys working on over the next few days. But then your data collection over here, you should have your control variable data already, and then your data for your first two variables also ready to go. And I already, for your first independent variable, I had the data table numbered, and then you were supposed to label and title that data table. So you would just kind of copy and paste that in here. Again, here's the control group setup. So this should be a hint, hint, wink, wink for some of the things that need to be kept constant throughout your experiments. Okay, so that's the first thing. You should be filling this in. And again, I would say take about a half hour to get that work done. And then when you're done with that, you're going to click on this greenhouse effect simulation. And when you open that up, it will take you here. I have paused this. And it's kind of caught here, move this over. You can adjust the speed of the simulation. It doesn't go that fast. I have it set on fast, but before you start it, you should kind of get an idea of some things. So first off, the temperature is -9 degrees to start off. It tells you over here that sunlight photons are the yellow ones, infrared photons are the red ones. It gives you going down from none to lots of greenhouse gases. It tells you where we are today, where we were in 1750, where we were during the Ice Age, and you can actually see those right here showing you where they were. And then you can adjust the amount of greenhouse gas concentrations. And this is all on tab 1. You will not use tab 2, but on tab 3, photon absorption, I'll go over that in just a moment. So when I hit play, you're going to see that when I hit play, you're going to see that these photons from the sun start coming in. And as they come in, they are going to get absorbed by the Earth. And then you're going to see the Earth is giving off these other photons. But there is a difference between the photons coming in and the photons leaving as far as what happens to them. And there's some questions about that. And you're going to alter the concentrations and use this to answer some questions. You can see what happened to the temperature over time. And again, as you alter the greenhouse gas concentrations, watch what happens to those temperatures. Okay, so that's the first thing. We'll answer questions on that. And then for the second part of this, you're going to use this photon absorption tab. And just know CH4 is methane. Oh, I didn't even realize that you can highlight it over there. CO2 is your carbon dioxide, H2O water vapor, N2 is nitrogen, and O2 is oxygen. And then you're able to build an atmosphere as well. So if I click on CH4, it puts a molecule of methane in here for me, and I can flip between infrared or visible photon. If I click on visible photon and I turn it on with this slider, you can see what happens, which is essentially nothing. That the visible light photons just go right through, and the methane is unaffected by those photons. If I then switch to infrared and do the same thing, at first it looks like nothing happens, but then you do see that something does in fact happen. And it happens again right there. Um, and then, so this is an important thing that you're going to answer some questions about as well, and you'll run through each one of these. Okay, so those are the two things that I need you to get done today. Is to work as a group on your wind turbine lab report, and then individually you can work with partners, but you'll be doing your own work on the greenhouse effect simulation. I didn't make it due until the 13th, and we will go over that together as a class. Okay. If you have any questions, as usual, please send me an email and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So have a good day, and I will see you guys next week.